All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Outgrow's Marketer of the Month. I am your host, Saksham Sharda. I'm the creative director at Outgrow. And I have with me here my co-host, Anushka Chopra, who's the social media and outreach analyst at Outgrow. And for this month, we're going to interview Julia Campbell, who is the founder and principal at J. Campbell Social Marketing. So, Julia, we're going to start with a rapid fire round just to break the ice. Try to keep your answers to one word or one sentence only. And Anushka is going to start with the first question.
Okay.
So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so the very first question is, what's your middle name?
Claire.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming,
That's
but
pretty.
okay.
That's pretty.
How long does it take for you to get ready in the morning?
10 minutes if I'm sitting at my desk.
That is the fastest answer any of our Market of the Months have given us to date.
Right? The last
depends.
one was 45 minutes. Yeah, so
Yeah.
nice.
If I'm going somewhere, 45 minutes. But
Okay.
most days I'm at my desk, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay. So are tomatoes a fruit or a vegetable?
A fruit.
And very good. You're the second one to get it right.
All right. Who's your favorite Harry Potter character?
Hermione, obviously. Hermione.
Yeah, right. The last person said Voldemort, so
I love Voldemort, but Hermione.
Okay. So speaking of people, which one will you choose? Neil Patel or Gary Vaynerchuk?
Oh, who was the first one?
Neil Patel.
Neil Patel.
Yeah.
That's hard to hang out with. Neil Patel.
Okay.
To learn from, probably Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
Because Gary Vaynerchuk is not very polite to talk to, right?
I don't think I'd want to hang out with him.
Yeah.
I like him. I appreciate him.
On
But Neil
video
Patel seems
online.
like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Giving presents or getting presents?
Giving presents.
Mhm.
Sweet. Okay. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Probably 4.
Okay.
2 large
4
iced
is
coffees.
normal. 4 is normal. 4 is normal.
So you said 2 or what?
2 large iced coffees, usually.
Okay. So you count them as 4, okay. All right. What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Twizzlers. Candy.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Fill in the blank. I can survive on dash hours of sleep.
Oh, well, if we're talking about today, I only had 5 hours of sleep. Survive? I could survive on 4 hours of sleep, I think.
Wow.
As long as the next morning I had a good night's sleep.
And then you take 10 minutes to get ready and then you're on your desk.
Yes. And then I'm very low maintenance.
I'm very efficient.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Is the next one mine? Okay. What does a person need to be happy?
Love. I think.
It
could be a family, it could be a pet, it could be just someone that loves them, something that loves them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so happy that everyone who's coming on the show is saying love. Everyone's just answering this question with love. That's a nice thing.
I think so. Yeah, I'm trying.
It's also a one-word answer that you can easily say, I suppose.
Yeah, there's that. Okay. And the final question is, an upcoming marketing trend is?
Alexa and Google search functions, or maybe more specifically, Alexa skills. So marketers developing skills for voice search and voice-powered technology.
Okay.
I wanted to ask actually one more question, which was, what is your favorite social media network?
I love Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Good choice.
So now that's the end of the rapid fire round.
Yep.
Let's go on to the bigger questions. And Anushka, you want to ask the first one?
Okay. Yeah, okay, let's go for it. Let's start with talking about you a little. And I mean, I've seen, as Yeah, I was going through your LinkedIn profile and I saw that you've always been very involved with nonprofits and giving back to the community. So what drives you to do so?
Well, I just love the idea of creating marketing campaigns and telling stories that are going to help make the world a better place rather than sell shoes or sell soft drinks or sell technology. So there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I really enjoy matching people that are interested in causes up with the causes themselves. So helping the social causes get found. But I started when I was in the Peace Corps, the United States Peace Corps, and I lived in Africa for several years in Senegal. And I worked with a lot of NGOs and nonprofits there and got to see their work firsthand. And then when I came back to the United States, I started doing fundraising and grant writing and marketing. And I just found that my love of writing, my love of activism and social justice, it just sort of merged together really well.
Interesting.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna say something?
Eh.
I was gonna say something.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
All right. So you think it's like three key things that you're doing in this is fundraising, grant writing, and what was the third one you said? I just forgot.
Well, that's where I started
Uh-huh.
marketing. So right now I do digital fundraising consulting, storytelling consulting, and marketing, specifically social media. So really how to get the word out, how to gain visibility, increase exposure, how to not just get people to pay attention, but how to actually get them to act and how to get them to care about what you're doing.
Okay. I'll ask the next question then, Anushka.
Yeah, please go ahead.
That is, marketing has evolved from just giving information to an audience to telling them a story and providing them with value. Why do you think the shift took place?
Well, we are becoming numb and immune to marketing messages. So we receive millions of marketing messages per day. And marketing used to be really, it used to be really kind of smart. It would manipulate us, it grab our attention. There would be clickbait headlines and spam, and we'd be inundated with emails, and that still happens. But marketers are getting smarter. So it's harder to cut through the clutter and get noticed and get found, especially online and especially on social media. So stories are the absolute best way to not only grab attention, but to actually get people to listen to your idea or listen to your marketing message, because human brains are wired to pay attention to stories. That's why we actually love podcasts, and that's why we love television and movies and books. We are just absolutely programmed to pay attention when we're receiving a message in a narrative. So marketing now is not about grabbing attention and getting as many eyeballs on your ad as possible. It's not about how many people have watched my video. It's more about how many people have I actually reached and actually created a relationship with and brought into the fold and inspired to take an action. So especially for nonprofits, telling that story, making that emotional connection, that really is the only way to get someone to open up their wallet. And I don't care what you're selling. If you are selling a computer, if you are selling a coat, if you're selling perfume, it's all about emotion. How does it make me feel when I purchase this? Or for a nonprofit, how does it make me feel when I make this donation? So stories create that emotional connection, and it's a response to just the way humans are motivated, the way humans are driven.
Yeah, because could you, in this regard, could you give an example of something you've done with your company, a story that you have told that you are proud of?
Well, for me, so for my personal brand, I've always felt that being vulnerable and being open and sharing personal stories is the best way to make connections with clients and have them get to know you. I'm also just very comfortable doing that. So I share a lot of stories around my children. I just, in fact, sent an email newsletter, a story of my son when I dropped him off at school. And he turned to me and he said, there's too many school days. There's not enough family days. And I thought, I get it. I understand, but this is what we're working for. So it was more of a pep talk to my clients and the people on my email list saying, it's hard to work. It's hard work. We are all burned out. We want to spend more time with our families, but we're doing really important things. So I like sharing personal stories. And then for my clients, it can be challenging sometimes because some of my clients have confidentiality restrictions and they feel very protective of the people they serve and they don't want to exploit them. They want to make sure they're doing storytelling in a very ethical way. But one group that I worked with is a food pantry, and they actually provide multiple services to families in need in my area. And I finally convinced them to share a story of one of their clients, changing the name, not using the photo, using a stock photo. And the email raised 3 times more than they have ever raised with any other email because it was simple, it was provocative, it was real, it was authentic, and it just created that true connection with the donors and with their email subscribers.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah,
Maybe you should forward it to us as well.
Oh yeah, I would love to.
Or we should forward it to everyone who's listening.
Yes.
Sounds like a great story.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah,
and storytelling. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Please go ahead. No, that's
I was going to say,
just...
it doesn't have to be a long story. I think when nonprofits hear storytelling or businesses and brands, they think it has to be like Harry Potter. It has to be this huge epic tale with a huge story arc and 75 characters. You can tell a great story with 3 sentences and a great photo. So it's all in the emotion, and it's all about, did something happen? Is this about a person? Is this something I care about? Is there a conflict? But I do feel like often organizations think they have to be professional novelists in order to do good storytelling, and they definitely do not.
Yeah, that's very true, because that's the thing about art. You can make a great impression with something really small, but that can be a story in itself. Yeah. Okay, I completely agree.
Absolutely.
And you were saying, Anushka?
Yeah, so I was just saying that from all that I'm hearing, I think that storytelling just requires this understanding of what is going to give value to the person on the receiving end of the story.
Yes.
So, yes, my question is storytelling, is there a science to it? I mean, obviously it takes intuitiveness and empathy on the part of the storyteller in order to connect with the audience. But if you had to give us 3 ways on how to do it right, how to do storytelling right, what are the top 3 tips that you would give us?
Well, the top 3 tips. Number 1, know why you're telling the story. So what is it you hope to achieve with this story? It really might be, I want to get likes on Instagram. That might be your goal. It might be, I need to raise $10,000. It might be, I want to close this deal with this client. Whatever it is, know the reason that you're telling the story first, because that's going to help you craft it and mold it. Second, know who you're talking to. So different stories resonate with different people. And if you're trying to get someone to give you money, to take an action, to buy something, to donate, then you absolutely have to evoke an emotion. And then number 3 would be, tell me what you want me to do. So have the goal, know who you're talking to, and then have an ask at the end. So a lot of times I see great storytelling all over the internet, all over social media, but I never know what people want me to do at the end of it. Or there's a soft ask, or it's very vague, or it's complicated, or it's hard to do. So depending on the channel that you're using, ask me to do something. If you're going to take the time to craft a great story and inspire me, make me feel this connection to you, make me feel proud, or maybe you're pulling my heartstrings, maybe you're making me feel angry, whatever it is with the story, whatever emotion it is that you're evoking, tell me exactly what the next step is in the journey and how I can either get more information or get involved with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of seems like the formula we also use in our interactive experiences. You start with a goal and
Yes.
you end with an ask. So it's kind of like similar personalized storytelling that one can achieve.
And
Yeah, I completely
storytelling, I
agree with
mean,
you.
the example that I gave before of the email that I sent that was just my son's story,
Mhm.
the why, I didn't really have a call to action. It was just a Monday morning pep talk to my email list. And I just wanted them to know that I was thinking about them. And I also don't like every communication that comes from me to be asking them for something. And that's
Mhm.
important for nonprofits as well. So
Mhm.
sometimes the why of the story might just be communicating impact, sharing an accomplishment, making people feel good. There might not be a specific call to action. The call to action might be hit reply to this email, let me know what you're working on, or have a great day, thinking about you, just to stay top of mind of the audience.
Or like a long-term ask. You just put like, oh, you can visit the website related to
Mhm.
this here. Like you're not
Exactly.
really asking them something. You're like, you can
Yeah.
see more information here. You can read more about this here.
Read this blog,
So
watch the video.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
small ask.
It's like an educative ask, right? So they think that you're not really trying to sell them something because you're not. So yeah,
Right.
completely agree. Okay. So who's me? Okay, it's me next.
Yeah.
So
It's
tell me something that most social media professionals think is true and that you think is bullshit, or something you
Ooh.
think is true that most social media professionals think is bullshit.
Oh, well, I think, unfortunately, that most social media professionals think that you can automate almost everything that you do on
Mm,
social.
mm,
So
Yeah. That's
I believe that you can schedule strategically. I certainly use, tools to schedule myself, but you also can't rely on that to be the only way that you're communicating. You have to actually go into the platform and monitor questions and see what people are doing and answer and respond. So
mhm,
this whole notion that you can you just automate, just set up on a bunch of platforms and automate what you're doing, and then almost like a faucet, just turn it on and turn it off. That doesn't work, and I've seen it not work. What is something that I think is true that other people think is bullshit? I don't know. I personally think that social media is not going to replace analog and in-person touches. And maybe some people think that's bullshit. I don't know. But I don't think things like Facebook fundraising, email fundraising, I think they're great, but I don't think they're going to ever replace picking up the phone or writing a thank you note or having a coffee with donors. So I really believe in the long game of things, and calling a donor, even if they only gave you $5 via email, or if someone liked something on Facebook and you've seen that they've been interacting with you on Facebook, trying to figure out their contact information and getting in touch with them. That's something I feel pretty strongly about. But yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I would love to know what people what people think is bullshit about some things that I've talked about. I know that people disagree with me about Facebook fundraising and the power of Facebook fundraising. I get in a lot of arguments about that because some people just hate Facebook.
True.
Yeah.
And also
Okay.
recently they do even more. But yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is a
Okay.
tricky question. We always like put it somewhere in the
Yes,
middle so that no one's looking for it and it comes along.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll move, and like speaking of social media, I will move on to the next question,
Mm.
which is what, according to you, is an underrated social media platform that marketers can leverage?
Oh, LinkedIn and Pinterest are completely underrated especially by small businesses and nonprofits. So I definitely get a huge portion of either inquiries or even clients from LinkedIn and speaking engagements. LinkedIn is there. It's not as saturated right now with marketing messages. It's much more professional, and it's certainly not saturated with all of the crap that's on Facebook and Twitter. There's nothing about what you ate last night or your political views. At least I haven't seen that on LinkedIn yet. It's much more targeted and focused. And the algorithm right now is rewarding video and photos. So I would say I post on Facebook, my Facebook page. I post on Twitter. I post on Instagram. The traditional 3 to 5% maybe see anything that you post. On LinkedIn, it's much higher. I mean, it really might even be like 10% of my connections see a post. It's huge. It's really high. So organic reach on LinkedIn, I think is heavily underestimated. And also Pinterest is a shockingly huge website traffic generator for me. So make sure if you have blogs, if you have videos, YouTube videos autoplay now, and Pinterest, make sure if you have any kind of visual content and you want to lead people back to your website, that you're posting it on Pinterest, because people are saving things on Pinterest. They're sending pins to their friends. They're saving articles to read later. So I've just been seeing that Pinterest is my number two. Pinterest is my number two traffic driver to my website, other than Google. So it's very strange, but yes. I just think it's very underestimated.
Because I read somewhere as well that Pinterest, the lifespan of a post on Pinterest is the highest amongst all other social networks. Because on Pinterest it might last for months, whereas on Instagram it's just there for a day and then just like goes down. Right, on Pinterest it keeps getting revived or like attracting traffic.
People keep pinning it. Yeah,
it's much more evergreen on Pinterest. That's absolutely true.
So do send us over your Pinterest account link and we'll post it for our customers as well. Everyone who's listening. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll actually analyze it as well, because we have such a love-hate relationship with Pinterest. So I mean, I love to see what you're doing.
Sure. I don't do very much strategically. I mean, I started my Pinterest board probably, it can't be when I got married. I got married a very long time ago. Oh no, when I had my daughter. like a lot of people do, started a Pinterest board for the nursery, for baby gifts. I have so many boards that I don't use anymore. But then I started seeing the value of it to save blog posts to read later, or to organize my blog posts. And I started joining group boards, and there's a big, huge social media for social good group board, and there's a fundraising group board. And that just gives added exposure to what you're doing. So I don't use it probably as strategically as some other bloggers, but I certainly have been seeing the value in participating in it a little bit. Definitely.
Because what I see from what you're talking about, especially about what you talked about, how you made Pinterest when you had a daughter, is because one of the guests on our Marketer of the Month is Leonard Kim, who is one of the top Forbes marketing influencers, and his specialty is personal branding. And I can see with you, your company is named after you, your Pinterest has your personal details. It seems you're also telling a story about yourself, which is kind of merged in with how you tell stories for others. So you're like the best market, like you yourself are the best example, for what you do.
That's what I love, and I don't have anyone to answer to, so I can pin whatever I want, whenever I want, post whatever I want. I don't have anyone to answer to other than myself. So, and whatever I'm doing is working. People really have been, I mean, my blog and my social media, I think, have been really resonating with people. And if they don't like me, then that's okay too. That's fine.
In fact, if it was on Pinterest, I think, Anushka, that we made, so when the European Union came out with the GDPR
Yes.
privacy laws. So it's like, the EU comes out with a law, and like half the people don't understand it. The other half actually didn't know how to register a GDPR violation complaint. So now at Grow, we made for a lot of like NGOs this complaint generator that would like ask you which company you felt had violated your rights, and it'd go through that entire process, and then it will automatically send an email to the concerned European authority, and they had to reply to you within 2 months. So we posted that on Pinterest, and it still keeps attracting a lot of because like this was like ages ago, because GDPR was like eternities ago. But every now and then we get like someone sent an email using Outgrow to like one of the European agencies, and they had to reply within a month because we get a notification for it. So Pinterest is so evergreen. It's just been so long, and it's just been going on. So, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because people, I know, and pins resurface, and then someone pins it, and then someone else finds it, and they pin it from their friend, and it's just, it's completely, I agree that shelf life is a lot longer.
Because on Instagram, you can't share, right? You can only save, and you can personally send it to a friend, but you can't like that basic
You can
function
share
of
if it's a public post, and if it is, you can share in your
you're
story.
Right, yeah.
So I could share if it's something from a public account. I could share it to my Instagram story, but it's difficult to share to your feed. I don't know if anyone uses that repost app anymore. Do you remember that app?
Yeah.
Regram or repost. I used to have that, but the trend is not to share other people's stuff on Instagram. The trend is to create your own.
Yeah, because I'm fascinated
like
by the
Twitter.
limitations Instagram has imposed and stuff like this, for instance, or that you can't post links unless you have like, on your posts you can't do it, but on your Insta stories you can do it if you have more than 10K followers. But I'm fascinated by these limitations. What are they trying to achieve? What do you think they're trying to achieve? Because they must have something in mind, right? Because it's different from Facebook, but Facebook owns both of these. So,
well,
what
if
do you
you
think?
purchase an ad, you can put a link on your ad, like a little button on your ad. But in terms of the organic posts, I think what they're trying to do is just really make Instagram stand apart from all of the other social media sites that are just a bunch of links. So they want you to stay on Instagram when you're on Instagram. They want you to scroll. They want you to follow as many people as possible. They want you to look at the ads, and now you can shop on Instagram. Certain accounts, you can actually click on items in the photo and purchase them right from Instagram. And so they really want that experience where you're staying on the site. I mean, people at Facebook are brilliant. And, a lot of people don't know that Facebook owns Instagram, which I'm always shocked to find out that they don't know, but they've done a great job of marketing them completely separately and making them look different and keeping them pretty much apart in terms of the way they look and the user experience and things like that. But I think that the name of the game is eyeballs and attention. And the longer you spend on each of these sites, the more ads they can show you and the more likely you are to click, and the more data they're gathering on us. I mean, we just be real about that. The longer you stay on the site, the more data they can gather on you, and they are selling that data. So we just have to be realistic about that too.
True. Also, they own WhatsApp, and that's a different ballgame altogether as well. Because there's also WhatsApp sharing, those things that are going on, and fake news in WhatsApp as well. So it's a monopoly that owns 3 different competing social networks, which is, I suppose, brilliant and also scary at the same time.
I think it will be split up. I think that wave is coming. The winds are shifting. I think that even though the US government really has no idea what Facebook does or their business model or what social media is, I think that there's enough momentum from the general public and from some savvy, congressmen and women that I really do think Facebook is going to be regulated, and Google probably as well.
I think Elizabeth Warren was talking about breaking up Facebook.
She was.
Yeah.
I love Elizabeth Warren, I gotta say. She's the only one with actual plans. Everyone says, let's break up Facebook, but she actually proposed a plan. Whether or not it's feasible, I don't know. But she's the only one that said this is how it would work, because she actually understands how businesses work. She understands deregulation. That's kind of like her thing. So who knows what's going to happen? But I definitely think it's going to be a popular bandwagon to jump on.
Yeah, and I think in the European Union, the Commissioner for Competition, Margaret Vestager, who just fined Google for, she said Google was displaying results very improperly. So that, I suppose. Also, one more thing that I wanted to talk about related to all of this was the EU recently passed a meme ban. I don't know whether you heard about that, that you can't upload images unless you have the copyright to them. So they're going to start charging websites if you upload images that you do not have the copyright to. So they won't charge you. They will charge the website where you uploaded it. So I don't know what's going to happen to Pinterest then, because, Pinterest is basically about resharing images. And so, yeah.
What? That's all of social media, though.
Yeah,
I don't
basically.
understand how that could possibly be enforced. I just don't understand. Also, a meme is meant to be, that's the point
Exactly,
of a meme.
yeah.
Someone creates
Exactly.
it and puts it out in the world, and then
Yeah.
it's meant to be adapted and reshared and iterated by people. So I completely understand if you go to Google Images or if you take someone's photography and use it, but I don't know how that would even be regulated. It's crazy.
Yeah, that just sounds crazy. But okay. Next question,
Yeah.
Anushka.
Okay, so let's shift from social media to email marketing. And like you said earlier, a lot of people feel that emails can be spammy. But I don't think that there's any denying the impact that a well-crafted, personalized message can have on your customers. But the problem here is that people are receiving more and more emails all the time, and can be challenging to stand out in those full inboxes. So,
Yes.
what are some do's and don'ts when it comes to promoting via emails?
You just have to be sharing really good stuff. You can't escape it. You can create a subject line that will make people click, but if they feel tricked or manipulated in any way, they're going to unsubscribe. They're going to mark you as a spammer. So you have to be providing some kind of value to the people on your email list. They have to want to hear from you. That's really the only way. So depending on who your clients are, your customers are, you need to know, what do they want to hear more about? What are their pain points? What are their challenges? What can you offer them that they can't get anywhere else? What is unique about you? And offer that to them on a schedule that they want. So I recently just unsubscribed from probably 20 different email newsletters this week because there were just a lot of list of blog links. So stuff I could find in Google, stuff I could find on Twitter. I don't need more things to read. I don't need to be more overwhelmed. But the emails that I kept were actually more personal. So there's a couple of bloggers that I follow, and they always write a really fun or entertaining email every week. And they usually share some really great insight or maybe one link to one blog. But I think you need to know your clients and the way they want to hear from you and what they want to hear from you. And then also respecting if they don't want to hear from you. So don't add people to your email list that don't want to be added, and don't get upset about unsubscribes. Don't get upset about unsubscribes, but also try to be a little more creative with your email subject lines. Don't be manipulative, but be creative. Don't call it, Julia Campbell fall newsletter number 5, because that's not, no one's going to open it. Make it, give it a little bit of a tease. And if you can add a first name, that's always great to catch someone's eye. If you can add emojis, always good to catch someone's eye. But I think that we need to understand that email open rates are they're never going to go back up. The only way to really get a good email open rate is to continually go through your list, take off people that haven't opened your emails in 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is that you decide, and adding people as they want to be added. That's really the only way.
How do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just talking about our newsletter, and that's why we have the marketing trends thing, where we don't just talk about us, but we give insights about any upcoming trends that might be of
Mhm.
actual use to people. And this also ties back to what we were talking earlier about marketing being more than just giving information to people, but about
Mhm.
interacting with them and telling them a story.
Yes, I think shorter emails work better now as well. So we have to start really being laser focused on what we want to tell people. I always write my email like it's from me. Well, it is from me, but I always write my email exactly in the tone that I would write an email to a friend. So showing that you're a human, showing your sense of humor, showing a little bit about your personality, that's really the way to cut through the clutter, because we get so many automated emails, we get read so many articles. There's so much content out there that the only way really to stand out is to just be human and be you and
Yeah.
attract the right people that are going to respond to that.
I was going to say the fact that you had to clarify on I always write my emails like it's from me. It's such a statement on today's age and times where it's just like everyone knows that it's not coming from someone, right? So that statement has to be
Well,
clarified.
mine
It's just
are
like,
actually coming from me, but yes,
yeah,
it's obviously coming
yeah.
from my email provider. It's not a personal one-on-one email with my whole list, but a lot of people do have copywriters for their email. I think a lot of people, really in nonprofits especially, they're so concerned with perfection, and we don't want perfection anymore. We're all tired of perfection. We want realness and authenticity. We want to connect with people online. We want to see the human side of a brand. That's really what we want. And people are so scared of doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, sometimes when we are making emails, we're like so scared about making a mistake or like a spelling mistake, but that's like something human that's like so been taken away from everything in marketing.
Yeah,
It has to
and
be like a
that's
pitch perfect
fine.
copy, and I'm just like, yeah, it's
Like
not
a
a big
broken
deal even
link.
if it
I mean,
goes out
all of
with
that stuff's fine.
yeah. I was like, it's not a big deal even if it goes out with like a spelling mistake. It's like they're not going to think that you're like, oh, he's not a robot. He was actually a human who actually wrote that email.
Yeah,
So yeah.
exactly.
I was going to say, how many emails do you tend to send? What is
A
your
month?
rate of sending? Yeah, in a month.
Oh my gosh. I am never taking my own advice about how to do anything. So I don't have a set schedule. I will look at what I'm trying to promote, and I won't send more than once a week unless I have something going on, like a Facebook Live where I want to send them a message right before I go live, or if it's something that adds value to them, like a free webinar. But in terms of a promotion, I really try not to email more than once a week. And it's only one column. It's very short. It usually has some animated GIFs in it. And it's usually, I work really hard to provide value to my email list, because we can't deny it, that email really is the best return on investment in digital marketing. I mean, social media is very ephemeral. It goes away. You only reach 1% to 2% of your fans with every post. But if you do email marketing well, you can get a decent open rate and a decent response rate as long as you're continually growing it. But I think for me, just being consistent, so not sending out a 7-column, heavy graphics, long newsletter one week, and then a really short, pithy email with 7 GIFs another week. So trying to be consistent in my tone and my messaging and the length, things like that.
Just to sum up this topic, it just came to my mind. We have email open rate calculator that our listeners can probably, at this point, if you guys want to check it out, do check it out, because it tells you based on your industry what the open rates are. So you don't have to be scared if your open rates are low. You can check based on how many emails you're sending, what is the average open rate for your industry. So do check it out. And we'll probably move on to the next question. Anushka, or is it my question?
It's yours, but
Okay.
I mean, whatever.
All right, I'll ask. The digital landscape is very fast-paced. People are constantly shifting from one trend to another. So, what are some ways you can recommend to keep up with and better understand these changes?
I think listening to podcasts like this, but also focusing on one or two or a handful of quote unquote influencers that you really like, and you respect, and honestly unsubscribing from everyone else. So this is something I had to do because I was getting so many emails and following so many people online and trying to read Social Media Examiner every day and we have to just take a step back and breathe and say, we are never going to know everything that's going on. It's just not possible. But what are the two or three topics that really impact our work or that we want to be known for? And find the blog or the newspaper on those topics and read those people consistently. So for me, I like Social Media Today. I like Social Media Examiner, but the articles can be very long. I don't read them every day if they're not relevant to me. I like, I get Google alerts for certain topics, and I follow several nonprofit specific marketing influencers on Twitter. I created a Twitter list so I can filter Twitter to just see tweets from those 10 people. And that has helped me. The fire hose of information was getting really overwhelming, and that has definitely helped me. But also spending a dedicated time per day or even per week where you do actually read these articles and then you take action on them. So don't do it here and there. Don't have Twitter on all day. Don't have your email on all day. Do your focused work and then have a set time, maybe Friday at 3 p.m., where you go into your Gmail folder and you say, okay, here are all the emails from the week these are all the blogs that I want to read, all of the influencers I want to read. So trying to make it as focused as possible, but less is always more. Less is always more in digital marketing. So you're never going to be able to be on every channel and be an expert on every channel. So pick 2 or 3 that you are very interested in, that you love, and master those. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, that's very correct, because every time we have someone here, they do always want to emphasize on Google Alerts and making Twitter lists. And these are the 2 key things, and just following certain things that you want to. So I completely agree with that. Yeah.
You can't have the FOMO. You can't have FOMO.
Yeah.
As a digital, nonprofit social media managers, anyone that's a digital lead or digital manager, you're going to have FOMO because Instagram Stories is coming out with an announcement or something. You just have to do your best and make sure that the trends that you're following are relevant to your goals and what you're trying to do.
And like you said, you have to do it regularly, once a week. Take some time out to keep track on a particular period, which is what Anushka was saying. In our trending newsletter, we actually take the best of Twitter from the last week, entire week, or like the best of the most trending marketing news. And we just list it out like as an additional feature on a trending. Like we just put 10 of those, the best ones, and we just like do spend every Monday, we send it out without fail. We like do spend some time over this. You'd be up to date, and that's all you need to do. So yeah, that's something we do. So do check that out as well.
That's great.
Do you want to go to the next question? Is it me or you again?
Yeah, I mean, it's relating to this. So I just wanted to ask, what are some trends that you have seen that actually work? Like, I mean, I know that it's very hard for businesses to keep up with the constant change, but what is something that really does work and that people should really adopt into their business strategy or in the marketing strategy?
Well, I hesitate to tell anyone they should do something, but I have been reading a lot recently, a lot of reports talking about the power of Instagram story and Facebook story ads. So Buffer and Hootsuite and Social Media Examiner, and they've all done reports showing that if you invest even $50 into story ads, so ads that will play automatically within someone's Instagram story, the engagement rate is like 75% because the market's not saturated yet. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, if you're using stories, definitely look at it, like definitely explore putting an ad in there. But if you're not using stories, I recommend just starting out watching them. They are poised to overtake the newsfeed in terms of the amount of pieces of content posted. by 2020. So there are going to be more stories posted than newsfeed content on Facebook and Instagram. So people love them. They're popular, but if you don't have them yet, don't get stressed out. Just watch a bunch of them. Go on Instagram, watch other people's stories. Go on Facebook, watch other people's stories. Get the feel of how it works, and then brainstorm 2 or 3 ways that you could incorporate it into your business. So this is, stories aren't new, but I do think that using them for marketing, it's not saturated yet. People aren't doing it as much yet. So I do encourage that. I think especially if you are a small business, an entrepreneur, or a nonprofit, you're not like seeing an Instagram story from Coca-Cola or Apple, I don't want to see that. But the local pizza place, I might want to see that. Or the local, freelancer, I don't know. So I think that if you are a smaller business, then there's still opportunities there to really reach more people.
I completely agree, because on my Instagram, I do not check my newsfeed anymore. I'm only going through stories because it's also automated. I don't have to click on anything. They just roll by themselves, right? And
I
also,
go down a story rabbit hole constantly. And what I should also say about stories is that they're not subject to the algorithm. So they're completely chronological. So if Kim Kardashian or Taylor Swift or whoever posts a story, and then I post one, and my friend follows all of us, my story will show up first. So it doesn't matter. It's very democratic. I love stories. I don't know if they're going to do away with that. That would make me crazy if they did away with that. I love that it's chronological, and I love that you can see when someone updates in real time. I love the nature of stories.
I think they also accidentally rolled out an update. This was like a couple of months ago, where the news feed also became automatic like stories. And there was a huge outcry, so they had to roll it back. But so they're just stuck to stories as like on top right now, which is good, right? There's always nice to have 2 options. But again, what you're saying is most businesses are actually advertising through Facebook, but you can actually set up Insta story advertisements through Facebook. So all they need to do is to just a couple of clicks more, and they already can take the same ad, reposition it, and put it on Instagram. So completely valid point.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about video marketing? I mean, right now we all have this incredible medium, which is interactive content, just to tell our story. What do you think about that?
Video marketing is one of the best ways to really show, your personality, show behind the scenes, show your product or your service to your clients. And I know that people would much prefer watching video, especially live streaming video, than read a blog post. So I'm still old school and write a blog every week, but I try to do Facebook Lives twice a month. I try to put videos on YouTube. They're certainly not professional and polished, like most people's videos are, but I try to do as much video marketing as I can, even if it's just off the cuff with some lights, on my desktop, because people absolutely respond to other people's faces. They just love to see you in your environment and what you're doing. So I think video, I know that Facebook had said last year that video was going to be 90% of the newsfeed by this year, which I think it really almost is. But no, and also video is the most shared type of content on social media. So if getting shares is what you're after, which I'm sure all of us are, getting people to spread the word, having a really short, creative, fun video that kind of encapsulates your message, that's going to get shared much more than a link to an outside website.
I mean, I think that's the thing with interactive content. I mean, Sakshan, you want to continue?
Oh no, I thought you were saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that that's the thing with interactive content, that it's inherently viral. A quiz or like a calculator, like a BuzzFeed quiz, for example, or the kind of quizzes that we make. I mean, we make a lot of them, and I see that if they provide value to people, then people would automatically want to share them with others, because they'd want to tell others something funny or something highly relevant that they just consume.
Absolutely.
videos and just interactive content.
Yeah, because going through my news feed nowadays, I can see that most news websites like BBC or Now This or New York Times, they have like these auto-playing videos, which are just gonna like go through the news, a particular news. They'll tell it as a story. So they'll be like, oh, this particular news item, this is what's happening, this is what Trump did, and it's all be in a little video. And then in addition to this, so they're really engaged in video marketing like this. But in addition to that, they also do like trivia. So they're like, do you know last week's news? And they do it in a quiz, and people love testing their own knowledge. So it's kind of like being interactive and being also like educative. So we're kind of moving towards that direction. So like, I think that's where the trend is.
Exactly. And virtual reality and augmented reality video, nonprofits have been using it in the field to actually bring people in the United States, almost into a classroom in Ghana or building a well in Kenya, and actually immersing them, as much as possible through virtual reality experiences. And I think that's a huge trend that's going to explode.
Yeah, because I completely agree, because the NGOs on Facebook do this as well. They use videos to kind of show this. And also I've heard about like in the UN, they do this quite a lot to give a virtual reality experience to a particular lawmaker so that he understands this is the reality, the ground reality at a particular place. So that, and so should I move on to the next question? This is the last question, which is, what are 3 tips that you'd like to give to all marketers to better connect with their audience?
3 tips that I would like to give to marketers. Number 1, be yourself, and don't be afraid to be yourself. So have confidence in your product, your service, your mission, and don't be afraid to talk about it in an authoritative way. So don't be sorry, don't be apologetic, don't have imposter syndrome, don't feel like you can't promote yourself, but just be authentic and, completely be yourself. Use your own language. Stop using jargon and marketing speak and words like wheelhouse and synergy and adjacent. And I don't even know, there's 10 million words. Just use your own words and be yourself. That's probably number 1. Second would be, don't be afraid to take risks. So perfection is no longer desired. People do not want to see this polished. I mean, I think that's a huge trend now. People don't want to see airbrushed photos. People are getting tired of the Snapchat filters. People want realness and authenticity, but also don't be afraid to take risks with technology and new things that you want to try out. It's just marketing, it's just social media. It's not like no one is going to die if you take a bad Instagram story and you have to delete it. So have a little bit more courage to take risks, and then really focus on narratives and storytelling, because it's so trendy right now. But if it's done well, if it's an actual story, then it's going to capture my attention and pique my curiosity. So make sure the messages that you're sending are not messages. Make sure that they're actually stories, or they have some flavor, some personality. You have to ask yourself, so what? 3 times. You have to say, so what? So what? So what? Why would someone care about this? We have to really take ourselves out of the mindset that what we're doing is so important, everyone's going to care about it. That's not true. So you have to really, really get those emotional stories, get those narratives, figure out how you're going to craft them in the best way possible. But yeah, my tips are always never around tools, because I think the tools come and go, but the basic principles of what works in marketing, which I believe really is be yourself, have confidence, share stories, share narratives, and take risks. I think those, no matter what the tools, no matter what the year, I think those are very evergreen and those never change.
Okay. Well, that was the last question. So I think we're going to wrap it up now, unless you have a question for us, Julia.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This was fun.
Yeah,
we had a great time as well. Yeah, and thank you for all the information that you've shared with us and our listeners. I know for a fact that it's going to come in handy.
Yeah. Speaking of that information, for our listeners, so the key assets that we're going to share is the email that Julia was really proud of, the little story about a particular one that she's going to forward to us, which she'll forward to
Okay.
all of you.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then there was the Julia's Pinterest, and then the GDPR complaint generator that we talked about, and the email open rate calculator as well. We'll share all 4 of these assets. And if Julia has something more to share, she can also let us know.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more to share, Julia?
No, I think that's it. If you want to connect with me, I'm on Twitter at Julia C Social, and I'm pretty much always on Twitter, so kind of the best way to find me.
All right. So thank you
Okay.
for being here, everybody. And I'll just wrap it up now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.